The following is a production of New Mexico State University.
As educators and technology trainers, we often encounter students who, regardless of their age, feel a little apprehensive about computers. They may feel intimidated about their ability to control a computer, or they may feel too old to pick up today's new technologies. Unfortunately, the first thing many technology trainers do is sit the student in front of a computer, of which he or she may already be a little scared, and ask the student to begin using it. Even younger students, who seemingly pick up technology so quickly, can be so anxious to get on a computer and fiddle around that they miss understanding some of the basic concepts about how a computer works and what some of the terms are. So how do we educators get their attention but still make them feel at ease? I have a simple solution. I call it Technology Unplugged. I believe one of the best ways to teach people about computers is to let them use a computer. But before that happens, start out in an average, everyday, ordinary room and talk about technology. Now the catch is it has to be fun, or else all the students who are really anxious to get their hands on computers will be bored. And it has to be easy to understand, or else all the students who are a little scared of technology will be even more intimidated. The purpose of this video is to help you learn new ways of teaching technology. All the props I'll be using are easy for you to make. No expensive technology is used in this demonstration. And you don't have to call some company in some weird part of the country and stay on hold for 10 minutes to order the Technology Unplugged method. All you need is the knowledge, a little creativity, and the desire to communicate with your audience. The best way for me to tell you what I mean is to show you. Some of what we'll talk about might be entirely new, or it might be a concept that you've heard about but never really understood. And that's great, because as teachers, it's the aha moments that are the most enjoyable. Now, some of what we talk about might be a review, and that's fine too, because I want you to get some ideas about how to teach, not necessarily what to teach. When I teach people about technology, usually it comes in the form of a week-long session or a series of day-long workshops. I try to start out each morning with a Technology Unplugged session. Then I alter the session depending on the skills of the participants, the day's activities, and the computers we'll be working on. In this tape, we'll be working with the Macintosh operating system. Now, for those of you in the PC world, don't get discouraged. I've taught this demonstration before, illustrating Windows, and there's really several similarities between the two platforms. The important thing to remember is that the same teaching style can be used regardless of the platform. Now, if you're completely new to technology and I throw you for a loop by using a term like memory or RAM, don't turn the tape off. I'll tell you what it means. I'll get there, I promise. Let's get started. I have a series of very technological terms here. Some of them are very basic and you're going to need to know them if you work on a computer. Some of them you're probably not going to need to know unless you're at a cocktail party and you get cornered by somebody with a specific question. But I believe in real world education, so we're going to cover both sets of terms. The first thing we're going to do is build a computer right here. You'll notice this big, huge, flat, empty space. It's called a desktop. Now, we might also call it a tabletop, but not in the computer world. In fact, if you call it a tabletop, everybody will think you're a geek. So come into my world here. It's called a desktop. Now, you'll always find two things on your desktop, sometimes more, but never less than two things. The first is your hard drive, and the second is your trash can. You'll know it's a trash can because it looks just like a trash can. I'm not making this up. Now, the really cool thing about the trash can on the Macintosh is that when you have something and you throw it away into the trash can, it's still there. You can go into the trash can and you can see it. You can take it out of the trash can, put it back into the trash can, take it out of the trash, put it back in, and it's still there until you empty the trash. Now, when you empty the trash, it's not in the trash can anymore. Now, the second thing you'll always find on your desktop is your hard drive. It's not always going to look like this. It might be a little box, it might have a little picture on it, but regardless of what it looks like, it will always be at the top right-hand corner, and it will always have the name of the computer on it. Inside your hard drive, there's basically two kinds of files: applications and documents. What's the difference? Well, an application is a tool. It's the software that lets you do things, just like a hammer or a cake mixer or a screwdriver. A document is the result of what you did with the application. So if an application is a word processor, the letter you wrote using the word processor is the document. There's all kinds of different applications, but hold on, we're going to get to that. Let's look inside our hard drive. Now, inside your hard drive, you're going to find two kinds of things. You're going to find files and you're going to find folders. It's just like a traditional filing cabinet. Now, just like in a traditional filing cabinet, you can take your files and put them inside of folders. You can put your folder inside another folder inside another folder. You can take your file out of the folder and put it into the trash can. You can take it out of the trash can and put it back into the folder and put the folder on the desktop. Now, those of you in the PC world might be familiar with the term directory. A directory is the same thing as a folder. It's the same concept, but a different term. Now, you can organize your hard drive however you like. In my hard drive, I have a folder called Applications, and that has all my applications in it. You might have a folder called Work, and you put all your work stuff into it. You might have a folder called School, where you put all of your school stuff. Let's take a look at my applications. The first application we're going to look at is word processing. Now, inside this folder, we're going to find all sorts of things. The first is a word processor. Now, I know, this looks like a pen, but to the computer-minded individual, it's a word processor. All word processors let you do is process words. You can write letters, you can write memos. The word processor is the application, and the letter or the memo is the document. Now, inside a good word processor, you will probably find a dictionary or some kind of a spell checker, and possibly even a thesaurus or a grammar checker. Some popular names of word processors include Microsoft Word, WordPerfect, and Right Now. Let's take a look at our second application, which is page layout. Traditionally, page layout was done with photos and text and cutting things out and gluing them down like for newspapers and yearbooks. Now it's all computerized and you use page layout programs. So in here we have some rubber cement, we have a ruler, we have text and photos, and page layout programs help us lay all of these out onto one page. Some popular page layout programs are Adobe PageMaker and Quark Express. Okay, moving on. Let's go to our next application. It's called a graphics application. This includes paint programs and draw programs. It just depends on how the tools are used. Now, in a graphics program, you might have a magic marker, you might have a crayon or a paintbrush. All a graphics folder lets you do is draw using the tools and create graphics. You probably have one of these already on your computer. It might be called McWrite or McDraw. Take a look on your computer and see what you already have for free. Let's take a look at our next folder. Now, in this folder, there's all sorts of little cards. They have people's names on them and addresses and phone numbers and let's say what kind of animal they have and their opinion of Newt Gingrich. Now, this is called a database. A database lets you manage data. For example, we could alphabetize all of these based on their last names, or we could sort them depending on what state they live in. We could do a list of everybody that owns a dog or everybody who likes Newt Gingrich. Where this is really handy is when you use a database in conjunction with a word processor. And you can write a letter to everybody that owns a dog. Or you can write a letter and say, okay, computer, mail this to everybody who has a hamster and likes Newt Gingrich. If you're looking for a great way to manage your Christmas card list, a database is for you. Now, the next application also has little cards, but the cards have numbers on them. And this application has graphing tools. That's because it's a spreadsheet program. Spreadsheet programs also manage information, although spreadsheets work with numbers instead of words. A lot of teachers use spreadsheet programs to manage their grade books. Once you take your information from your students and the test scores, you can graph that information. You can do a pie chart of certain students' scores on one particular exam. You could do a line chart showing the improvement of one student throughout the semester. The best thing about spreadsheet programs is they do the math for you. You can tell it. Okay, take the top 4 scores and get an average, and then take the 5th score and average it in, only make it count twice as much, and then add 10 points of extra credit to everybody and give me a percentile reading, and shazam, it's done. Next folder. Now, the next application has a phone in it. That's because it's communication software. There are lots of different kinds of communication software. Some will answer your email for you, some will answer the phone for you, some will help you send faxes, some will get you hooked up to this internet thing that you keep hearing so much about. We could spend a lot of time talking about communications and the internet. For now, just remember that before you do any of that, you're going to have to get communication software. This is my favorite application, multimedia. Multimedia lets you integrate many media into a program. So you might have music CDs and pictures, you might have audio files or slides, you might have text that you want to integrate. Now, some multimedia programs are designed to do multimedia authoring, to put a button on one screen and you click the button and you go someplace else, and you click another button and you go someplace else. Some multimedia programs are designed to do slide presentations or sales presentations. Some popular multimedia authoring programs include HyperStudio, SuperCard, or HyperCard. Some popular multimedia slide programs include PowerPoint and Persuasion. Remember that as programs get better and better, the lines distinguishing one program from the next get a little fuzzy. For example, a word processing program might give you basic page layout capabilities, and so it claims to be a desktop publishing program. The concept of multimedia is so popular now that many applications claim to have multimedia capabilities just because they let you integrate pictures. The good news is that somewhere along the way somebody said, wait a minute, you mean I need to buy a database and a spreadsheet and communication software and a page layout program and word processing capabilities and a graphics paint and draw program? I don't even use my computer that often. I'm not a professional. Isn't there an easier way? And the software companies responded with what's called integrated packages. Integrated packages include scaled down versions of each of these applications. It's kind of a trade-off. You don't have to pay as much as you would for each individual application, but you don't get the full and complete version. Some common names in integrated packages include ClarisWorks and Microsoft Works. Is all of this clear? I hope so, because we still have some computer terms that we haven't covered yet. But hold on, because we're going to. The first is my favorite, memory. This term gets thrown around all the time in the computer world, and we never really know what it is, except we've heard we're supposed to have a lot of it. So I'm going to tell you what it is. Basically, memory is where the computer puts all of its stuff. There's 2 different kinds of memory. The first is RAM, and the second is storage. What does RAM stand for? It doesn't really matter. You don't really need to know. No one's going to ask you unless maybe you're at a cocktail party and someone comes up and says, hey, what does RAM stand for anyway? Well, then you can tell them. It stands for Random Access Memory. Now, don't go around calling it Random Access Memory. Nobody does that. Everybody calls it RAM. Basically, RAM is the memory the computer uses to run your programs. Now, the second kind of memory is storage. This is hard drive space on your computer. How much room is in your filing cabinet? Look at it this way. Your boss comes into your office and says, hey, I have this project for you. And you say, I can't handle another project. Look at my desk. There isn't any space on it. My filing cabinets are full. I don't even have room to walk in my office. My in-desk is piled up. I cannot handle another project. You can give me this project, but I don't have room anywhere in this office to even put one more file. That means you don't have enough storage space. Okay, let's look at it again. Your boss comes into your office and says, I have this project for you to do, and you say, I can't handle this project. I already have 10,000 things on my mind. I have to think about picking up my kids, and I have these other 3 projects, and this administrator's on my back, and I have all these things. I don't know what I'm going to do about dinner tonight, and I have all these things I have to worry about. I cannot handle one more thing. My brain is full. I cannot handle another thing. That means you're out of RAM. Now, the good news is, unlike in real life, you can always buy more memory for your computer. RAM upgrades can be purchased and installed right into your computer. If you're out of storage, you can buy an external hard drive. It's just like another filing cabinet for your computer. Another thing, let's say there's a file at a computer way over here that you want to use on your computer way over here. Well, you can connect them through a series of cables and wires and software so that you can see files from their computer and they can see files on your computer. That's called establishing a network. That's all networking is, being able to share files from one computer to another computer. Networking is a very scary term for a very simple procedure. But wait, there's still one term we haven't covered yet, and that's processor. In this computer that we've built, I'm the processor. The processor controls the speed of the computer. It's kind of like the engine. We hear the words Intel processor. Well, that's just one brand of processor. The faster the processor, the faster the computer, and probably the more expensive it is. Some people say I'm a very fast processor. Now, I haven't even come close to covering everything you'll need to know to work on a computer. But I think I've given you enough of an overview so you can sit down at a computer and start exploring. Remember, the purpose of this video is not to make you a technological genius. Rather, it is to give you some ideas about how to teach technology to others. Please feel free to take parts of this lesson and adapt them, change them, and incorporate them into your own lessons. Computers are fun and can be made easy to learn. All it takes is a little patience and a lot of practice. The good news is, the more you know, the easier it will be for you to learn and, of course, to teach. Use this approach when teaching a new application or teaching students how to explore the internet or use a word processing program. Take the technology away from the computer and explain it in easy, everyday terms. Good luck.
The preceding was a production of New Mexico State University. The views and opinions in this program are those of the author and do not necessarily represent the views and opinions of the NMSU Board of Regents.